Let's be honest here, if you're watching this, you're one of three things. A. One of my loyal subs that'll watch just about anything I post. B. A medic main looking for advice on how to shake things up from the ye old meta. Or C. A noob who has yet to understand that a medic heals first and gets kills seldom. Regardless, I am an Ian, and this is my TF2 How to Killstreak series, where we cover how to get a killstreak with the best and worst weapons this game has to offer, because everything's a bad idea until it works. So sit back and relax as I cover how to get a killstreak with the medic's least used primary weapon.
Ooh, your gun shoots medicine! It's intimidating.
The Overdose is a primary weapon for the medic, meaning you will have to sacrifice the utility of the crossbow to use this thing in the first place, which is why you will rarely see it in pubs whatsoever. As for what the Overdose actually does, at the cost of a 15% damage penalty to your syringes, you gain a speed boost whilst this thing is deployed to a maximum of 20% depending on your Uber charge at the time. If you want this weapon for yourself, it can be crafted using a reclaimed metal, a grue, no the other one, and a crossbow. However, I advise trading or waiting for a random drop if you have any intention of using this thing personally. Now some of you might be thinking, this weapon has a 15% damage penalty. That must mean this is one of Medic's worst weapons, especially for getting kill streaks. However, since the base damage of the syringe gun this 15 damage penalty derives from is already comically low, this results in a negligible damage penalty of 1 or 2 damage per syringe, depending on range from your target and ramp up. Such an insignificant damage penalty is more than made up for by the utility of the speed buff, especially when you consider that a full clip of your syringes can kill anything short of an overhealed heavy if all the syringes land their mark, that is. More on the speed boost, it is proportional to the amount of Uber you have charged up. Think of it like the soldier's escape plan, but instead of how much health you have missing, how much Uber you have charged up. And unlike the soldier's escape plan, there's no real penalty to having this thing deployed beyond not being able to heal with your medigun. Once at full Uber, the speed boost this weapon grants you will make you second only to a scout in terms of movement speed. Many discount this weapon entirely because the speed boost is only active when you have the Overdose deployed out, meaning you can't have the minigun out and gain the speed boost from this weapon at the same time. And to that I simply ask, and? Yes, you can't heal and use this thing at the same time, but if you have meat shields, I mean teammates around, this thing should only come out to deal with the occasional skunt or spy, before being immediately swapped out for your minigun of choice. Yes, on a competitive level, the crossbow is better, but if your aim is god-awful, the syringes are actually better since they're easier to land shots with. And remember, in pubs, the rules of competitive sixes go straight out the window. I have carried games as Demo Knight, seen Trollers top the ladder boards, and I have seen medics single-handedly secure their team the win simply because they were playing medic and not because they were actually good at the game in any capacity. After all, sometimes all your team needs is a consistent source of healing that doesn't have a recharge time. And if you're wondering how you're gonna get kills with this weapon, the answer's pretty straightforward. You're the medic, aka the first thing any try-hard player is going to try to kill. So as they charge in a straight line at you, just backpedal away and shoot at them with this thing. After all, only scouts can close the distance at you once you have full Uber. And now I know what some of you are thinking. But I'm not going to always be at full Uber as medic, therefore I won't always get the full speed boost. And to that I ask, and? The medic's base movement speed is tied for second alongside the spy's, meaning if you can get any amount of decent Uber charge built up, you'll have a movement speed buff that makes you second only to scouts in terms of mobility. And remember, in Team Fortress 2, movement speed is kind of like card draw in any collectible card game, aka really flipping powerful. All joking aside, this thing is frankly underrated. The speed buff can get you in and out of all sorts of sticky situations, and its only real downside is that you have less damage on a class that really shouldn't be doing damage in the first place. This thing can not only help you retreat back to your team if you end up separated more easily, it also allows you to maneuver around the map more unpredictably. After all, many players, especially those who use projectile weapons such as the soldier or demo man, will have to predict your movements in order to land their shots, especially at a distance. So if you can alter your movement speed, you will have to alter their trajectory, something they won't necessarily be able to anticipate, and thus resulting in them missing their shots more frequently. As for what weapons to use alongside the Overdose, I advise the Uber Saw or Amputator for your melees, since the Uber Saw is never a wrong option unless you're playing medieval mode where the Overdose can't be used in the first place, and the Amputator itself, much like the Overdose, is frankly underrated because most medics end up just blindly following the meta of using the crossbow and Uber Saw mindlessly. However, for those of you who struggle to land melee hits on enemies, the Amputator is probably a better alternative to the Uber Saw, since if you can't land melee hits, the Uber Saw is just a downgrade from stock. But the Amputator has some uses even if you're not using your melee to get kills. Many of you already know that the Amputator's taunt can allow you to heal teammates nearby, turning you into a mini dispenser temporarily effectively. However, you can also help yourself survive more since while deployed, the Amputator increases your health regeneration, something that very well might save you from afterburner bleed damage in the right situation. Since this is a guide on how to get a kill streak with the weapon itself, however, I will at the very least mention a Solemn Vow. Being able to see enemies' health will allow you to figure out who you can get an easy pick on and who you should avoid entirely more easily. However, unless you're going full battle medic, the Solemn Vow isn't really all that good of a weapon. Yes, being able to see the enemy's health can help you get some cheeky picks in and help get you a nice kill streak. However, when you're playing medic, your priorities should be healing, not getting kills. Something you need to bear in mind when using any syringe gun, not just the Overdose, is that the syringes you fire have travel times similar to rockets or Demo Man pills, meaning you'll have to lead your shots somewhat. So, in other words, if you're shooting at a distance, aim where the enemy's going to be, not where they currently are. However, realistically as medic, you're going to see yourself as an assist on the kill feed more often than the killer. In other words, when your name shows up on the kill feed, it's usually because you are healing someone getting a kill rather than because you yourself were getting the kill. So, on the subject of healing, let's move on to what mediguns you should use. The short answer is anything with an increased Ubercharge rate. The Overdose's primary benefit is based on how much Ubercharge you have built up, so obviously you'll want to pick miniguns that have increased Ubercharge rates, allowing you to get the full speed buff as quickly as possible. The Killstreak has some of the fastest Uber buildup, and since the Uber grants the guy you're healing guaranteed crits, not making you harder to kill in any way, the speed buff gets a lot more use with this than other miniguns, since the option of pop it, don't drop it really isn't a thing with the Killstreak. It even has a hidden synergy with the Overdose. You see, most players who use the Killstreak are only pocketing one guy who they are most likely friends with IRL. So, when you become separated or they get killed by a sniper headshot, jetpacking pyro, or random spy, the Overdose will become the perfect weapon for you to reunite with your teammate. After all, the movement speed buff is almost certain to get a full benefit, since you won't be able to pop it and give yourself some increased survivability, like you would with other mediguns. And since your medigun is going to be shoved so thoroughly up the ass of your pocket that you won't be able to see your teammates, it's not like you were going to heal anyone with the crossbow in the first place. However, if you're pocketing just one guy all the time, I don't recommend the Killstreak, but rather the quick fix. After all, when the individual you're healing jumps around, such as through rocket jumping, a sticky bomb, or other such thing, you'll go flying alongside them, allowing you to surf away from danger more easily. Or jump into the fray more quickly, I don't know what you're into. Either way, if you love having high mobility, the quick fix is the best option for the medic. However, if individuals who only use a single damage type are becoming an issue, such as sniper bots, the entire enemy team deciding to go heavy and push the cart, some ungodly number of pyros for some weird meme, or any other crazy combo you can think of really, never underestimate the power of the Vaccinator. With a little practice, this thing can make you and whoever you're healing basically unkillable. Frankly, the only medigun I don't advise for the medic when using the Overdose is the stock medigun. The reason for this is quite simple. It has the slowest Ubercharge buildup, meaning you will have the least amount of speed buff from the Overdose at any given time most of the time. All in all, I give the Overdose an underrated utility out of 10. Whilst the kill potential of this thing is pretty bad like all of Medic's primary weapons, it provides a survivability utility that most medics will struggle to find with other weapons. So if you're tired of playing the meta with the crossbow, don't feel like being hyper-aggressive with the Blutsauger, consider giving the Overdose a try. It's literally your only other real option. That's all for now. Like the video if you did, comment what weapons you want to see me cover in the future, and subscribe if you don't want to miss the next one. I've been Ian, and this has been my TF2 How to Killstreak guide to the Overdose. And stay tuned, the Cowmangler is coming up next.